Back in spring of 2021, I thought I was determined to be an artist. I let the stress get to me and I started to procrastinate. I did not have much improvement in this time, so I set my sights on relearning the basics yet again. And I was only looking at the top of the mountain. And looking from the top of the mountain is extremely stressful and daunting. I let my stress get to me and eventually drive me away from my art. Until later, I came back and had a new perspective that was kind of game changing for me. I ended up reading Mastery by George Leonard. He completely flipped my mindset around on my hobbies and interest in general. I highly recommend that book. And why this gave me a few perspective shifts, the stress was still burdening me, and it was really my mind was my biggest downfall. So if you're watching this right now and this resonated with any of you at all, even a little bit, then I hope this plants a seed. However, I still recommend you doing your own research with stress. Check out the Huberman podcasts. They're extremely helpful. Highly recommend. Or reading any books. Anything that piques your interest will get you stepping in the right direction. These are some perspective shifts around stress might help you just like they've helped me. In this era where stress is as high as ever, we're going to need everything we can get. So, a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. So, a growth mindset is perceiving or understanding that mistakes are part of the process and an opportunity to grow. We cannot improve without mistakes. When you have a fixed mindset, you believe that your intelligence cannot change and you are the way you are. Your goal is to defend your ego and to hide your flaws. While both mindsets want to recover their self esteem, it's all about how you perceive the mistake. After a mistake, a fixed mindset looks downward, like on a test score. If you got a 35% and you're looking around at the other people that scored like a 5, 10, 15%, and you're like, at least I'm not like those guys, at least I'm better than them, better than somebody. Obviously, as you can tell, this is not the greatest way to go about improving. In a growth mindset, you look upwards and ask, what strategies did they use and how can I improve? A large majority of what happens to ourselves is how we frame these situations and stressors. A stressor are any situations that present stress, good or bad. How willing and open we are to new ideas and ways to improve is a major component in the process. How we should reframe stress and difficulties. If we can reframe difficulties and stress to part of a process of doing something with high integrity for others, then it becomes more enjoyable. That itself changes the meaning of effort. Something you used to correlate with bad is now motivating. To change your mindset, though, focus on situations where you and or somebody you know closely experience difficulty while doing something that matters to you and or them. That difficulty did not determine your entire future because there is one step we could take to change the outcome and make a difference in how we perceive stress. This perspective shift is from Andrew Huberman's podcast with Dr. David Yeager. I highly recommend you go watch the video. There's a bunch of information that is helpful to you in it. I would go check that out pretty much right now. So this is how our brain appraises our stressors. So first, it starts with a stressor, like anything that gives you stress in your life. We all get affected, and feel stressed out by different situations. Then it gets sent to our brain to be appraised. Praising is basically how we're framing the stressor in our mind. Third, depending on how we framed it, we get our response. If you're stressing, then your body is basically assuming that you're going to lose the fight mentally or physically. Your body assumes that you cannot handle the stress. So, we should not think of a stressor as automatically bad. It's a lot to do with how we frame our situation. A lot more beneficial perspective will lead to a mindset of stress is enhancing. You have the most leverage in the appraisal stage. So, if your demand in this case is your intense stress and worry, then during the appraisal stage, you should turn it into a resource in your own mind by believing that stress is enhancing idea. So, adapting growth mindset and handling the physical aspect of stress by turning that resource of intense stress to then benefit you and help you cope with the stress at a physical level, we can see the stress in a new light. We need to develop mental growth the same way we would develop muscle growth. We need to stay disciplined with keeping our growth mindset in frame, basically doing mental reps, keeping our frame. Whenever a situation and or a stressor pops up in your brain, step back, take a minute to think about what it is and what is going on, and determine if that is something you should be stressing about because it threatens your mental, physical, spiritual health, or whatever it is, or if it's something that you can reframe and use to benefit you. When we are met with a stressor, we need to appraise the stressor in a way to encourage stress's enhancing mindset. Stress is ultimately what pushes you into excelling, getting to that next level, wherever you're trying to go. The physical aspect of stress is, in of itself, a stressor that also needs to be appraised. Having a growth mindset alone won't get you your skill development or mental well-being. You're still missing on how to handle stress, or in this case, how you perceive stress as a whole. With a growth mindset, you have the decision to look at stress is enhancing, or this is a sign I'm preparing to optimize my performance because our brain and muscles are getting more oxidized blood to perform better. We, on the other hand, we might assume stress is my body is afraid, and this means I will ultimately fail. This is stressed about being stressed, when in reality, this mindset will cause you more harm than good. So, again, I recommend looking into these ideas even more. But if I could be the one to help plant that seed, which as of right now, I think it's probably one of the most helpful things I could be doing. Remember that ideas are seeds we plant, mentally sowing them till they're ready to harvest. Peace.